April 17th, 1970, the East Room of the White House. The atmosphere inside is suffocating. Under the massive crystal chandeliers, the air is thick with tension. In the front row, surrounded by his cabinet, generals, and the political elite of Washington, sits Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States. He's smiling for the cameras, clapping his hands, playing the role of the gracious host. But behind that tight political smile, there is a cold calculation. Nixon didn't invite Johnny Cash to Washington just to enjoy a night of country music. This isn't a party, it's a political maneuver. Outside the White House gates, the country is tearing itself apart. The Vietnam War is raging, consuming thousands of young lives. University campuses are exploding in protests. The civil rights movement is reshaping the streets. America is bleeding. Nixon is desperate. He needs a weapon to fight back in the culture war. He needs something to validate his policies, to show the world that real Americans support him. And he believes he has found that weapon in the man in black. Before the show, the president's aides sent a specific private order to Johnny Cash's management. They didn't just ask for a performance, they demanded a political endorsement set to music. They requested two very specific songs chosen carefully to attack the hippies, to mock the poor, and to alienate the protesters. Nixon wanted Johnny Cash to be his mouthpiece. He wanted the most trusted voice in America to sing his propaganda. Everyone in that room, the senators, the wives in their expensive jewelry, the press, they all expected Cash to obey. After all, you don't say no to the commander-in-chief, not in his own house, not when the eyes of the entire nation are upon you. But as Johnny Cash stepped up to the microphone, adjusting his guitar strap, he didn't look like a man ready to surrender. He looked at the set list Nixon gave him, and he decided to throw it out the window. He leaned into the mic, looked the president in the eye, and said exactly 5 words. 5 simple words that silenced the room and changed music history forever. I. What happened next wasn't just a concert, it was a confrontation. A duel between the most powerful politician in the world and a guitar player from Arkansas. This is the story of the night Johnny Cash gave the president a reality check. To truly understand the danger of that night, we have to pull back and look at the state of America in 1970. It was a nation at war with itself, divided down the middle. On one side, you had the counterculture, the long-haired youth, the anti-war protesters, the rock and rollers who were screaming for change. On the other side, you had what Nixon famously called the silent majority, the older, conservative, traditional Americans who felt like their country was slipping away. They were scared, they were angry, and they voted for Nixon. Nixon had a master plan called the Southern Strategy. His goal was to unite the conservative South and the blue-collar working class against the liberal elites and the unwashed hippies. He needed a cultural icon to bridge that gap. And in 1970, there was no bigger icon than Johnny Cash. Cash was a unicorn in American culture. He was a country boy. He grew up picking cotton. He loved God. He loved the flag. He served in the Air Force. To Nixon, Cash looked like the perfect soldier for his cause. The president thought, if I can get Johnny Cash to stand on my stage and sing songs against the protesters, the war is won. But Nixon made a fatal miscalculation. He only looked at the surface. He didn't see the man underneath. He didn't realize that Cash was a complicated man. Yes, he was a patriot, but he had spent years playing in prisons, looking into the eyes of men whom society had thrown away. He had seen the darkness of addiction. He had friends dying in Vietnam. Cash's TV show was one of the only places in America where liberals and conservatives watched together. He was a bridge, not a wall. So when the invitation came to play at the White House, Cash accepted it. But he didn't accept it to be a cheerleader. He went there to be a voice for the voiceless. The trap was set days before the concert. The request came down from the Oval Office like a command. Nixon's team didn't just want hits like Ring of Fire, they wanted ideology. First, they asked for Okie from Muskogee. This was a Merle Haggard song, and at the time it was the anthem of the anti-hippie movement. It had lyrics that made fun of long hair, criticized drug use, and mocked the youth culture. It was a song designed to draw a line in the sand, us versus them. Second, and even more controversial, they asked for Welfare Cadillac. This was a satirical song that punched down. It told the story of a lazy, poor family abusing the government welfare system to buy a luxury car. It was mean-spirited, it was divisive, and it was exactly the kind of red meat Nixon wanted to throw to his base to prove he was tough on social issues. Put yourself in Johnny Cash's boots for a moment. The pressure was immense. If he plays these songs, he betrays his conscience. He alienates his young fans. He becomes exactly what the counterculture hated, a sellout, a puppet for the establishment. But if he refuses, the consequences could be severe. He is publicly embarrassing the President of the United States. He risks being blacklisted. He risks being branded unpatriotic. It was a trap, a political trap designed to force Cash to pick a side. But Johnny Cash was a master storyteller, and he knew that sometimes the best way to win a fight is not to throw a punch, but to change the narrative.
The night of the concert arrives, April 17th. The East Room is packed. The air conditioning is humming, but everyone is sweating. The energy is nervous. The press had already leaked the song requests to the newspapers, so everyone in that room and everyone reading the papers the next morning knew exactly what Nixon wanted. The question hanging in the air was simple: will Johnny Cash surrender? Cash takes the stage with his band, the Tennessee Three. They look stark against the gold curtains of the White House. Cash is wearing his signature black coat, a dark shadow in a room full of bright tuxedos and sparkling diamonds. He starts the show. He plays a few safe hits, A Boy Named Sue. The crowd laughs. Nixon claps, looking satisfied. It seems like everything is going according to plan. The president is relaxed, waiting for his moment. Then the music stops. Cash steps up to the microphone. He adjusts the stand. The room goes deadly silent. You can hear the shifting of chairs. Nixon leans forward, a confident smile on his face, expecting to hear the opening chords of Okie from Muskogee. Cash looks at the crowd. He looks at his band, and then he turns and looks directly at the president. He addresses the elephant in the room. He says in that deep, rumbling voice, there were some requests for Okie from Muskogee and Welfare Cadillac. He pauses. The tension spikes, and then he delivers the line, the 5 words that saved his soul. I don't know those songs. Let that sink in for a moment. I don't know those songs. Johnny Cash, the walking encyclopedia of American music, the man who could play thousands of gospel, country, and folk songs from memory, a man who had a radio in his head, standing there claiming he didn't know the 2 biggest country hits of the year. It was a lie, a bold-faced, obvious, tactical lie. He knew them, his band knew them, Nixon knew he knew them, but it was a masterful refusal. If he had said, I refuse to play them, it would have been an insult. It would have been a political statement. Nixon could have attacked him. But by saying, I don't know them, he played the role of the humble musician. He effectively said, sorry, Mr. President, I can't help you with your propaganda. I'm just a guitar player.
It disarmed Nixon completely. What could the president do? Arrest him for a bad memory? Nixon forced a smile, but his eyes told a different story. The president realized in that moment that he had lost control. But Cash wasn't done. He had cleared the table of Nixon's hate songs. Now it was time to fill the silence with his truth. Having refused the president's request, he pivoted. He said calmly, "I'd like to play a song about the youth of today." He launched into a song called "What is Truth?" This wasn't a party song. It was a protest song disguised as a ballad. He sang, "And the lonely voice of youth cries, 'What is truth?'" This was a song that defended the very people Nixon was trying to crush. It was a song asking the older generation, the people sitting right there in the room, to listen to the kids, not just judge them. He sang about the young men dying in the war. He sang it looking right at the generals and the old men in suits who sent those kids to die. The atmosphere in the room shifted. This wasn't a rally anymore. It was a sermon. And then he delivered the knockout punch. He introduced a brand new song, a song nobody really heard yet, a song that would become his manifesto, Man in Black. He stood there in the center of American power and explained why he wore the color of mourning. He sang, "I wear the black for the poor and the beaten down. I wear it for the prisoner who has long paid for his crime." He sang, "I wear it for the sick and lonely old." He was lecturing the President of the United States on empathy. He was talking about poverty, about the prison system, about the cost of war. He was forcing the most powerful men in the world to acknowledge the people they wanted to ignore. Nixon had to sit there and take it. He had to applaud the man who was dismantling his entire political strategy on live television. The room was silenced not by anger, but by the sheer weight of the moral authority coming from the stage. Cash turned a political rally into a lesson on humanity. The concert ended. The applause was polite, but the mood was different. Nixon shook Cash's hand. He called him a great artist, but the dynamic had shifted forever. Nixon wanted a puppet to control. Instead, he got a prophet who told him the truth. Nixon ordered a political song. Cash gave him a reality check. That night proved something important. It proved that real power doesn't come from an office or a title or an army. Real power comes from integrity. It comes from knowing who you are and refusing to compromise, no matter who is asking. Johnny Cash walked out of the White House that night the same way he walked in, a free man. He didn't burn bridges. He didn't start a riot. He didn't scream or shout. He just said 5 simple words and let the music do the rest. I don't know those songs. What do you think? Was Johnny Cash's lie the smartest move in music history, or was it a risky gamble that could have ended his career? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more stories about the legends who stood their ground against the odds, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.